Whoa! Welcome back to the Dirty Slam. I am your Dirty Master General, Donnie D, and today we are going to be doing a little spin to see what team gets the highlight of the episode. That's right, this episode will be entirely based on one singular team. Gonna look at all of their trades, gonna look at the history of what they've done, and where they're going. And of course, wouldn't be a show if I didn't give my opinion on them. Really let them know, let them have it, or let them hear it if it's good. So without further ado, let's see what happens here. Who are we going to do with our first highlight video of the 2024 season? And we're going to do it again. Just because that would be a little ironic if it was me first. Ooh, okay. Bonds. We got a winner. So we're going to be doing the bonds. I'm going to swap over, get a couple of things ready, and then we're going to analyze the Rod's bonds. See if they're truly manly enough to have that name. I'll see you shortly. So here we are taking a trip down memory lane with the Rod's bonds. Hopefully this is easy to read, but just a quick recap of what's going on here is we've got trade dates, manager A, manager B, what was given and gained, rather, what's gained by each manager, and then who is getting what. And they're broken up by year, so you can see that Rod's bonds have been very active since the league inception. Can't go to 2019 because all we had was our trades for our startup draft. Don't want to do that, doesn't make any sense. So here we have all of the Rod's Bods trades. And for the purposes of what we're looking at here, just for you listeners who may not understand how this works, is I don't care about the tree, right? So for instance, this 2023 third round pick that the Rods got, he traded that to Jay Mitch later, you can see. And, I don't really care about the tree, how everything ends up. All I care about is the singular trade. With the assets that he gave for the assets that he got, was it a valuable deal? So I took some time, 10 minutes or so, wasn't that long. Rod's Bods have a lot of polarizing trades. I took some time and went through, and you can already see some of these trades coming through that are just smashes, right? Think about this one here, right? Rod's Bods getting Jalen Hurts and a better first rounder in the future for the 104 and a worse first. So essentially, if you think that Jalen Hurts is better than the 104, then that means he won that side of the deal and got a better first, because no way Chris is going to be worse than the Wolves. So that is a smash trade there. I've got my own terminology here. You'll see in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and unhide my column A, and now we're starting to see a picture of trades, and there are red if I think they're bad. They're yowie. Sorry if that was loud. If they are really bad, and then yippee, or nice if they're good, and then meh if I didn't care much. So I just wanted to highlight some of the major ones here, right? Some of these 2024 ones just happened. I didn't realize that this trade had happened for Rod's Bonds, but Jalen Polk is really good value at the 205, and he gave that up for Marshawn Lloyd and a third that he ended up trading away. Again, I don't really care about the tree, so in the trade tree, obviously it's going to end up being really nice because he got a future second for that 301. But again, don't care about the trade tree, just the individual trade. Don't like it. I really liked Jalen Polk there at 205. Probably should have picked there. But then we've got a meh. We're not going to care about that. We've got a nice. Again, that's what I'm saying. Got a future second. Fleeced the Agave to get a future second for a couple of third-round dart throws. Even if these guys play above what they were drafted at, that second-round pick still may end up being more valuable. Fourth rounder doesn't care, so I like that for the Rods. A Wolf trade here again. That's just that Jalen Polk. He ended up sending that 205 along with, or I mean, he got the 105 and the 205, but he had to give up Nico Collins, a future second, Adonai Mitchell, and a late second. I really didn't like this. I thought about giving this a Yowie because Nico Collins to me might already be a top 8 wide receiver in the league. Top 10 for sure, in my opinion. Um, I just think that guy is stellar. And everybody knows that I'm a big Matt Harmon fan, but it even goes past Matt Harmon that you just watch him play. And I was ignorant of him before this last year, but as I watched him play, I remember trying to trade for him a couple of times. Nico Collins is one of the best wide receivers in the league, especially at the X position. So I think that's a stellar trade for Gueves. Unfortunately, Rod Bods, Brock Bowers better be the truth because otherwise you just got ripped. Yeah, so looking at some other ones, I'm just going to highlight the Yowies and Yippies now because we don't want to overwhelm the listener. Actually, we got some time. Might as well really dive into this and figure out what the Bods are doing with their lives because for some reason back in 2023 we can see here they gave up Pacheco and Samuel, two very good players, and they gave them up essentially for a first round pick. Treylon Burks basically out of the league, Tutu Atwell basically out of the league, and then a first and a third from arguably the best team in the league. Yowie, Rods, Bods, what were you thinking? Trying to tank and trying to get those picks, but at what cost? Holy smokes. This one here, Dontavian Wicks, I put as a meh. He could be significantly better than DeAndre Hopkins in the long term, but Hopkins right now is better than him, so I put that as a meh. Who knows? First round pick essentially for Alvin Kamara, Drake May. Who knows? It's really just moot point. Romeo Dubs for Zach Moss, probably the same value still, even though Zach Moss has a starting job. We don't know if he's actually going to be any good. We got a nice here. Sending away Gabe Davis. That guy stinks. Nobody ever wants to start that guy. And in return, he got a second and a third. So I thought that was a pretty good deal for the Rods Bods. Gabe Davis, not a guy I want on any roster of mine. Yowie! J.K. Dobbins for Kyron Williams. That one's going to haunt the Rods Bods for sure. But that guy, short-term memory, who knows? He might have already forgotten about it. Hope you didn't, because you are watching it now, buddy. Pat Freiermuth, yippee! Gave up the corpse of Darren Waller. Absolutely scammed the veggies there in that deal. So good on you for getting Pat Freiermuth. Even though he's not terrific as a tight end, he's still better than a retired player. So really good job there. We got a nice deal here. He got... why is this nice? That's definitely not nice. That is a bad trade for the Rods Bods. Giving up Keenan Allen for Gabe Davis in a second. Yeah, that's a woof. That's not good. Keenan Allen much better than Gabe Davis in a second, in my opinion. Then we got a yippee! Again, another scam on Matt Don. Another scam on the veggies. Getting Tank Dell. Probably a top 20, top 15, some might say. Probably top 20 wide receiver. Hopefully he can stay healthy, but Tank Dell by himself is worth maybe double, triple, quadruple what the side he got or he gave away was. Okonkwo didn't do good. Evan Hull, just a backup. Probably should drop him, honestly. Veggies. Wan'Dale Robinson might be equivalent to that side as well. So Rod Bod's crushed in that trade. Might need another tier up for astronomical value trades. We got a Yowie. Anything involving Pacheco has not been good for the Rod Bods. He got Pacheco, who's solid, but he had to give up James Conner, who's arguably just as good still, and a second-round pick, and now we can look at what actually happened, and that turned into Sam Laporta. So the tight end won as a rookie in James Conner for Isaiah Pacheco. Again, don't really care about the trade trees. I just like to compare and say, hey, look at this single trade you made. Was it good? Was it bad? This one, yowie, that was bad. CJ Stroud picked 203 for 211 in round 2 of next year. Yeah, that's a woof. Jalen Wright and a future second. I mean, could be good, but certainly not better than CJ Stroud. Sending away DeAndre Swift for Deebo Samuel and a future first. I actually like that because that first, the Bruisers aren't super great, so that first could be out of the playoffs, so around 105, 106. Probably not going to be in the lottery, so unless major injuries happen, but we're knocking on wood there. Hate for injuries to happen. DeAndre Swift, RB20 something, 24 maybe, so Deebo Samuel's probably equivalent to DeAndre Swift, so getting an extra first was great there. And then this one was a nice as well. Sending away Jacoby Myers, who had a pretty solid year, but nothing to write home about. Getting an early second for him is probably good value. Finishing up here, we've got 2022 and 21 and 20. 2022 was his worst year by far. Good thing he only made 2 trades. He gave up Kyron Williams and Ramondre Stevenson for basically just 1 first. Ended up being an early first, but that was just not good at all. Again, he ended up picking back up Kyron Williams, but we don't think about that, right? Just this one trade, that sucked for the Rod Spods. Then we got a Yowie here. He gave away the 103 in 2024 and Rashad Bateman for Dalvin Cook. Oh man, this one was really bad. I laughed when I saw this one. Like, Dalvin Cook, you would need prime Dalvin Cook to equate to this value, I think. Rome Odunze was number 8 or number 9 in the draft. And you know how top 10 rookie wide receivers perform. I don't think there's been a bust in the top 10 for a rookie wide receiver since our league started. So that one is rough for the Rods Bods. We got a couple mez here, but then mostly 2021 was killing it. Rods Bods, great trades for you. A lot of these are out of the league, or you just got players that ended up being good, like James Robinson, Sky Moore, Quentin Johnston. DeAndre Swift's much better than those guys. Same for here. You got Rashad Bateman, and then it's just a bunch of people who are out of the league or not great. Like Dameon Pierce is a backup now. Chase Brown is still in the league. Seth Williams isn't. 2021 and 2020, when we're looking back at these, really it's just, is this person still in the league and still contributing? 2020 was tremendous. 3 yippies in a year is groundbreaking. Some would say should have won a big one. And 2020, I wonder if they may have hit a buzzsaw, perhaps a manly buzzsaw in the playoffs to get knocked out, because this team should have won the big one in 2020. Getting Nico Collins for essentially dog water. Getting James Conner for essentially trash juice. I'm just coming up with different synonyms here. David Njoku for a dude who probably played half a year maybe. I don't know. Leonard Fournette was good maybe in 2021. I don't know. This one was a little hard, but Njoku is still really good. So back then it was probably flipped the other way, but again, I'm looking at it now, right? It's hard for me to go back in time and see what's good and what's bad, but looking at it now, these were killer. Keenan Allen for Rashad Penny and Rashad Bateman. Bateman could be good. I've put him in a couple of good trades because I think he'll be good. Rashad Bateman will. But right now he's not been great, so Keenan Allen's definitely better than him. James Conner definitely better than all these guys. Any rates, so with that being said, those are the trades for the Rods Bods from 2024 all the way back to 2020. Let me know in the comments, let me know in the chat what you think about his trades. If there are any that you notice that you are saying like, holy smokes, Dirty Master General, you got that so wrong. This trade should have went the other way. C.J. Stroud or blah blah blah. You see a name on here and you're like, I don't agree at all. That wolf should have been a yippee, or that nice should have been a wolf. Let me know. I want to hear about your feedback so I can always get better opinions. I am just a man. I'll see you in a second. Oh, I'm back. Hope you didn't miss me too much. Now we're looking at the Rods Bods Dynasty Daddy sponsored page. First thing we got to see, managed by Rod Bless America, starter rank number 9. Woo, that's not good. That's a lottery team. But it's good because he's rebuilding. Whoa, rebuilding? Who knows what that is? Come on down to Roddywood. First matchup of the season. We'll get into that. We're going to go game by game, actually, and see what their record is and what the line is. I'm pretty sure the line is 2.5 or 3.5. But we'll create our own line here, and we can compare that to the Dirty Slam as the offseason goes by. But they are rebuilding with a starter rank of 9, but an overall rank of 2. So let's take a look at why that is. If we scroll on down in their roster, we have an average age of 24.7, which is on the younger age, or the younger side of our league. I think the average age in the league is about 25.5, maybe. Most contenders are around 26. Most rebuilders are around 24. There are a few teams that are on the outskirts there that just have abysmal teams. We'll probably look at them in the future, i.e. the Wolves and Gobblers. But we got some biggest risers here. Who are the Rodspots looking to break out? Dontavian Wicks is my guy. I think Dontavian Wicks is going to have a stellar year. I think he can become an every snap starter. And what I mean by that is traditionally a team will have 2 wide receivers that play every snap or near every snap. And then they're going to have a rotational guy who plays slot, going to move around, be a hybrid kind of guy. I think Dontavian Wicks really fits a flanker role, either the X or the field Z. I forget what they call it in football, but flanker, right on the flanks. I think Dontavian Wicks can really take in that role. I think Jaleel McLaughlin, made fun of him in one of my past episodes, but after doing some more research, I think this guy's going to be the starter for the Broncos. So I don't know jack squat. Good on you, Bods, knowing more than me. Biggest fallers, obviously, all these guys are worthless, right? I don't care about any of these dudes. I mean, we talked about Romeo Doubs being maybe player, but he's not breaking into that top 3 wide receivers. Christian Watson's obviously the X, or obviously one of the flankers. I don't know about the X, but he's going to be on the field, right? So will Dontavian Wicks, and then Jaden Reed. All of those guys are stellar. So we can look at the actual team. Puka Nacua. Player details. Whoa, I don't want to go this in depth. Position rank number 6. I wish it would have just given me a little synopsis there. I'm flying around. Sorry about moving around. Puka Nacua, top 10 wide receiver. He earned it. That dude's a freaking beast. Jalen Hurts, Brock Bowers, Tank Dell. These top 4 are great. Unfortunately, that's where it ends, right? Now look at the rest of his team. This dude's never played a snap, currently a backup. This dude, currently a backup, but again, we just said he could break out and be a beast. Romeo Doubs, backup. J.J. McCarthy, going to start, but look at this guy's face. Does that look like the face of a dude who's going to be good in the NFL? He's got that TikTok fluffy hair. Good lord. Why would you draft him? Pat Freiermuth, the Muth is Luth, hopefully for the Rods Bods. Starting tight end, he could be good. His value, I don't really know what that means. What, like tight end 10 maybe? He's decent. Jaleel McLaughlin. So what you're starting to see is that this guy's got a lot of great wide receivers, but his running backs are essentially worthless. McLaughlin could be good. McLaughlin, I don't know how to pronounce that name. Could be good, could be bad. I mean, the Broncos could be good, could be bad. Probably going to be bad. So I don't know if I'm running a massive bet on this guy. So looking down the list, I mean, you can just start to see this team, why they're ranked number 9 as starters. It doesn't show picks, unfortunately. What's the ADP daddy have them at? overall rank 6. So ADP Daddy makes them worse. Can't really see their picks anywhere, but what they have is, let me think, 4 first-round picks next year, and even more in 2026. So here is our league standings right here, and then we're going to look at the schedule for the Rods Bods. But you can see here, if we're looking at the list, the Rods Bods are going to be number 4 in easiest strength of schedule. And that's because their rival, Gridiron Gobblers, is just as bad as them. I think the division they play either is the 2.5 Commissioners or the Big 3, which also have a really weak team at the back. So Rods Bods can end up sneaking a couple of games when they don't want to. Okay? So then if we look at the trade, or the playoff calculator, we're going to see the Rods Bods down here at a 4-10. We'll see how they calculated that 4-10, but yeah, they're not making the playoffs. Week 1, Rods Bods, they should get crushed by the Veggies. Again, as you're listening to this, if you disagree for any reason, let me know. Who are the Rods Bods going to beat? Who are they going to lose to? This is just a highlight video, so we're going to do this for every team, hopefully, as we're going through the offseason. But the Rods Bods 0-1, going to lose to Mafiosos to Veggie. That's their man week matchup every year. They're going to have this face off, but it's going to be in week 1. It's actually a home game for the Veggies, and home game man week has spelled disaster for the Rods Bods. They have never beaten the Veggies at home, and I believe, somebody can fact check me on this in the comments, I believe in man week they are 0-3 against the Veggies. We're going to need a fact check on that. Is Veggies have swept them so far since Man Week's inception. So that's a loss, 0-1 for Week 1. Let's find them for Week 2. They're playing the Ferocious Frogs. Look at that, 51-49 split. I think the Bods are going to pull this one out. I think they got the better talent right now, and I think they squeaked that one out. I think they start 1-1 to the year. And then going into Week 3, they play the Pillas, probably going to get stomped. Pillas have a win-now team with Justin Jefferson. They got a win-now team with Josh Jacobs, or no, they don't have Josh Jacobs anymore. They got Saquon and Kyron Williams. So I think the Pillas stomp them. Rods Bods going 1-2 into Week 4, where again they're picking up another loss. 1-3, can't beat the Duckies there. One of the strongest teams in the league. Rods Bods going into the Pillas again. This is a tough stretch for the Rods Bods. Jeez. Well, 1-4. They're definitely not winning into the Pillas unless injuries happen. Knock on wood. 1-5. Definitely not beating the Swines. Rough for the Rods Bods. Here we go. Here's a win. 2-5. Beating the Gobblers. They own the Gobblers, some might say. Gobblers are not good. So I think the Rods Bods are going to clean their clock there. 2-5 so far going into Week 8. And then we have the Frogs again. I think they'll split the series. I think the rookies by Week 8 for the Frogs are going to start coming online. So I think it'll be 2-6 and the Bods lose, unfortunately. And then going into the Agave, 90% or chance to lose. Yep, so that's a loss. 2-7. Rods Bods beating the Wolves. They are, in my opinion, the worst team in the league by a large margin. 3-7 for the Rods Bods going into 11. And then we are, where are they? Against the Bruisers, that's a loss. 3-8. Loss to the Cheese Balls. 3-9. 2 weeks left. What are they going to do? They play against the Gobblers again. I think this is Thanksgiving matchup. Gobblers don't lose on Thanksgiving, some are saying. So I'm going to say 3-10 for the Rods Bods. And then week 14. I don't know. The Gridiron Gobblers are trying to make a lot of trades. They might have traded everybody away. They're not beating the Peacocks, though, in Week 14. So this Week 13, I feel like, is really pivotal for them to get 3 wins or 4 wins. And I think that's what the line is set at for the team on the season total, 3.5. So I'm going to say the Bonds split the series with the Gobblers, meaning that they will have 4 wins either Week 4, I think, is when they played them, or Week 13. Whatever those 2 weeks they split between the Gobblers, I think the Bods end up with 4 wins this year. So, 4-win team for the Rods Bods. So the question is, where do you go from here? And I'm just looking at this. Oh yeah, we can see they got their picks here. I wish it would show the picks. Maybe in the power rankings. Yeah, this is nice. Power rankings shows that they are number 6 here. ADP Daddy. I don't know if I should use ADP Daddy or keep trade cut. I'll use the ADP Daddy from now on. Seems like it's good and fatherly. So the Rotspods number 6 with a number 9 starter rank. Where do they go from here? I think you can obviously see where they go from here. They've got 4 firsts, 2 of them guaranteed to be in the lottery, in my opinion, and then 2 probably will be playoff picks. I said it in the last episode they got 2 seconds as well in addition to their own, and then in 2026 just an additional second. So essentially they're up 6 picks on what they started with. 6 or 7. And I said it in the last episode, is look at your team. If I'm looking at this team and it's my team, I see I don't need to worry about quarterback. Jalen Hurts, J.J. McCarthy are more than capable holding that room down. Rank 5 is debatable. I think that's a top 3 room or top 4 room because Jalen Hurts is so good. Running back, we'll come back to that, rank 12. Rank 8 wide receiver. So this is what I was going to say, right? This is a Dirty Slam special insight tip for those of you rebuilding. Take a look at what the Agave did when they got all their picks. Take a look at what the Frogs are doing. Or what the Veggies did when they rebuilt. Or what the Pillas did, right? You go and get rock solid wide receivers. Veggies got A.J. Brown, Jamar Chase. Pilla's got Justin Jefferson and Christian Kirk. Ironically, who people made fun of. We'll talk about the Pillas in their highlight video. Don't want to veer off there, but and then the Agave, they're trying to find their wide receivers, but they went after a ton of them, right? They got Garrett Wilson, Drake London. They really need a guy to step up and be stellar. So I'm looking at this wide receiver room for the Rodspods, and they only got 1 stellar guy. If I'm the Rodspods, I need 2 more that I can count on every single week. And with 4 firsts next year, 1 in the following year, and 3 seconds, what I'm doing with the Rodspods is I'm finding a team that may not be doing nearly as well as they thought they were going to be doing. Because with an average age of 24.7, you have time to wait. I'm finding a team that's not doing as good as they thought, and if they got a stud wide receiver, I am trading for him, right? Like the cheese balls just did. They got Olave from the Wolves. I'm finding a team that might be wanting to switch things up and rebuild or maybe retool, and I'm going to go after a wide receiver who's young enough that I could build around them for a couple of years, but good enough that they're consistently top 10. And that's going to be hard, though, because not a lot of these contending teams are overweighted on age and ready to swap and rebuild. I think the Swines are close. So they've got DJ Moore, could be a guy that they go after. But again, the Rodspods are set up good here. I think they just chill on tight end and quarterback. if they want to just see what's going on with Duntavian Wicks, if they want to see what's going on with their wide receiver room, nobody's going to fault them for waiting and ripping 4 first-round picks next year, make them even younger, and a chance for them to be even better if those rookies turn into somebody worth it. So the question is, when you're rebuilding proven commodity versus the upside of a 1-to-1 pick, right? Sure, you're going to have to give up a first or two for a proven commodity, but you know you're getting a good player. The Rodspods are going to have to roll that dice and say, okay, the Frogs just rolled the dice on about 7 top 15 picks. Do we want to roll those dice, or do we want to just go and get somebody we know is good and finish our rebuild with players that have proven it? They're going to be older, but they've proven it. You can look at the Agave as a use case, right? They got a couple of studs, but right now their wide receivers aren't really performing to their capability. They missed on a couple of tight ends. They got a lot of good tight ends, but you can see the use case of that shotgun approach sometimes always doesn't pan out. So I think the Rodspods are really going to have to try and consolidate, in my opinion. I think they keep some of those seconds, maybe tier up those 2 background firsts between Jay Mitch and Matt Don. They could tier those up into a real stellar player, or they could tier them up into a lottery pick next year if they really like the players. I don't know anything about the rookies. Obviously, they could be outstanding and should be, but that is the Rodspods. In my opinion, a very solid team. Overall rank at 6, I think, is a little rich. I don't think any rebuild is guaranteed. So, in my opinion, Dirty Slam would rank them probably bottom 4. I don't think the Swines are that bad. Wow, we're going to need to do the Swines soon. I want to see why their team is rated that bad. I think they fit in nicely around 7 or 8 here between Pillas and Frogs, and I think the Bonds, though, are set up for success. Just got to make 1 or 2 really good trades, 1 or 2 really good transactions, actualize their value. That's the thing about picks, right? It's just theoretical value. You need to actualize it by getting a good player, otherwise your rebuild was worthless. Right? The Wolves have been rebuilding for 6 years or 5 years because they haven't been actualizing value. They've been getting it and then sending it away. So it's always just been potential. If the Bonds can grab a hold of that value and actually get guys that are good and will score points, I think the Bonds are going to come back and be like their 2020 team, a big one contender. So good luck to the Bonds. And this has been episode 3 of the Dirty Slam podcast. I am your host, the General, and I'll see you next time when we figure out who we're going to do next time. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great July 4th. Do not blow off your fingers with a firework, and go win a big one in your life. Go outside, do something fun. Get married, have a kid. Win the big one in real life. Who cares about this silly little game? It's paying my bills, so I care. But at any rate, I'm rambling. As I always do, I'm a rambler. I'll see you next time.